stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Square. Peter's Basilica, for the first time as the 267th successor of St. Peter, the world waited eagerly for his first words. Thousands had gathered in Vatican Square, and millions more tuned in across the globe. The air was thick with anticipation, not only for what he would say, but for what kind of papacy this would become. Beyond the ceremonial greeting, his initial address signaled not only humility and continuity, but also a firm reaffirmation of traditional Catholic teachings, particularly those concerning marriage, family, and the sanctity of life. He stated with clarity and conviction that marriage, in the eyes of the Church, remains a sacred union exclusively between a man and a woman. He called the family the bedrock of civilization and reiterated the Church's long-standing commitment to protecting life from conception to natural death. These themes are not new in the Catholic tradition, but in an age where the Church is pulled between modernity and tradition, his reiteration was profoundly symbolic. Pope Leo XIV went on to declare, "The dignity of every human being is sacred, yet it is within the divine design that life begins at conception and ends in God's time. Our mission is to accompany, support, and affirm life at every stage, and to uphold marriage as a covenant of love between man and woman, open to the gift of children." These statements, echoing the moral clarity of his predecessors like Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI, underscored his intention to anchor his papacy in continuity rather than reform. Yet in today's cultural context, such positions are not merely religious affirmations. They are socio-political statements with global repercussions. The Pope's message, while celebrated by many Catholics who had longed for a return to unambiguous orthodoxy, ignited immediate reactions around the world. In many Western countries, such affirmations are now viewed as controversial. Societies where same-sex marriage, reproductive rights, and physician-assisted dying are legally recognized and increasingly normalized, saw his comments as a step backward. Human rights advocates, progressive Catholics, and various secular commentators voiced concern. Among the most vocal were LGBTQ+ advocacy groups who felt the reaffirmation of traditional marriage excluded them from full participation in church life. Organizations such as Dignity USA and New Ways Ministry released statements expressing disappointment, though they acknowledged the Pope's respectful tone. A spokesperson for Dignity USA remarked, "We respect the new pontiff's commitment to his faith and tradition, but his words, however gently delivered, reinforce barriers that have harmed LGBTQ+ Catholics for generations. We call for a more inclusive theology that reflects the lived experience of queer people of faith." Father James Martin, S.J., a Jesuit priest widely known for his outreach to LGBTQ+ Catholics, echoed this sentiment. He noted, "The Pope's language was pastoral, and that matters. But the message still places limits on LGBTQ+ people's full sacramental participation, especially in areas of marriage and ordination. Dialogue must continue." The reaction on social media was swift and polarized. Traditional Catholics praised the Pope for his courage and fidelity, while others accused the Church of being out of step with the modern world. The tension between the doctrine of the Church and the diversity of its global members was on full display. LGBTQ+ advocacy groups, including Dignity USA and New Ways Ministry, expressed concern that Pope Leo XIV's statements might further marginalize LGBTQ+ individuals within the Catholic Church. While they acknowledged his respectful tone and pastoral intent, they emphasized the ongoing pain many gay, lesbian, transgender, and non-binary Catholics feel when excluded from full participation in church life. In response to these concerns, Vatican spokesperson Father Matteo Ricci clarified that Pope Leo XIV welcomes all people into the Church and urges pastoral accompaniment, not condemnation. The new pontiff reportedly supports continued dialogue and pastoral outreach to LGBTQ+ persons, in line with Pope Francis's approach, but remains firm on doctrinal definitions of marriage and human sexuality. The Pope's position on abortion also reignited long-standing debates. He reiterated the Church's view that abortion is a grave moral evil and urged governments and healthcare providers to respect the sanctity of unborn life. His language was strong but compassionate, calling on Catholics not to judge, but to offer support to women in crisis pregnancies. Catholic organizations such as Human Life International and Priests for Life praised the Pope for his clarity. On the other hand, pro-choice groups and secular commentators criticized the statements as out of step with modern reproductive rights discourse, especially in countries where abortion is legal and widely accessible. Regarding euthanasia, Pope Leo XIV described it as a failure to accompany, rather than a compassionate act. He emphasized the Church's teaching that life must be protected even in the face of suffering, encouraging palliative care and emotional support for the terminally ill. While the secular press has framed the Pope's views as conservative or hardline, those close to him describe a leader who is deeply pastoral, gentle in demeanor, and concerned about human dignity in all its dimensions. A close associate, Cardinal Fernando Leon of Peru, remarked, "He is not a pope of slogans. He is a man who listens, who walks with the people. His teachings come from deep prayer and theological reflection, not political ideology." Some theologians suggest that Pope Leo XIV's first address sets a tone of continuity rather than radical change, in contrast to speculation that the next pope might liberalize church teaching on moral issues. His message reassures many Catholics who fear a drift away from sacred tradition. Yet it is also clear that the Pope faces a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, he must remain faithful to Catholic doctrine. On the other, he must lead a global church that spans wildly different cultures, political realities, and social norms. From progressive Europe to conservative Africa, from secular North America to devout Latin America, the Church is not a monolith. Pope Leo XIV's early statements show that he understands this complexity, and that he is prepared to speak clearly, even when it may cause discomfort. As his papacy unfolds, the world will be watching. Will he be able to maintain tradition while also fostering inclusion? Will he uphold church teaching while offering healing and reconciliation to those who feel left out? For now, his answer is simple but firm. In Christ we are one, not because we are the same, but because we are united by grace, love, and truth.